Essentially, you just want to come in, be open to learn, be ready to learn, be open and receptive to what you hear. And you all know this, you're already in the training. So we're going to skip this part because we went over this yesterday. You should know all this information by now. If you don't, it is in this document for you to go and learn. So basically the only reason you wouldn't know what this is if you weren't here yesterday. And if you weren't here yesterday, then you could just go to this document, pick up on all the information that we went over prior. We're going to pick up from here. What is Built? Built, we went over this yesterday as well. We're going to go over it again. Built sells custom web development or websites to small to medium-sized businesses in the UK, Eurozone, US, and Kuwait. Their pain points, the reason that they have to buy a website is because there's no clear way to convert visitors into actual customers. They have low trust due to poor design or lack of online presence. They are relying on the word of mouth and don't have a consistent lead flow, etc., etc. We help them book more customers, give them a stronger trust with their customer via design structure. We increase their visibility. We create a system that captures and organizes the leads that they already have, etc., etc. Now, we're going to go ahead and start officially with setting basics. Again, the goal of DM setting is to be credible and certified. You're going to hear that word a lot here. Certified. That's the word of the day every day. Because to be certified, you must be competent, established, reliable, trustworthy, invested in the customer success, find hidden information, informal and value-based, extremely smooth, and directly available to answer their messages. Competent. We're going to go one by one and describe, like you've heard me say, you must be certified, but we're going to talk about what it actually means to be certified. C as in competent. You must be competent in the product and what we're offering the customer. And we'll do some more trainings on product training and like exactly what we're offering and what it does for the customer so that we can help you become more competent. But competent as in if the customer says, "Oh, why do I need a website?" You should be able to have an answer to that question. If they say, "Oh, I'm getting enough leads as is, I don't think I need a website," you should be able to reframe that directive in a way that works towards our benefit, which is, I understand that you think you're doing good enough, or I understand that you think you're doing well, but oftentimes to business owners, well is just good enough. And if you don't have a website, then the fact of the matter is you aren't. And you don't have to be so aggressive with the framing, but that's just the fact of what it is. If they're a serious business owner in 2026 and they either don't have a website or it has a website that isn't converting, then something is wrong, because their website is to act as a lead magnet for new customers who are interested in their services, to not only see what they offer and what they do, but also to leave their information so that they're able to be converted into customers. So if they have a website but it's not getting them new customers, then okay, the website is like a brochure. Like it's cool for information, but it's not actually doing anything. So oftentimes they'll be like, "Oh, I don't need a website. I have a website. All my information is there." Okay, all your information is there, but is your website actually acting as it should be in bringing you more customers? Because when you send over your website to a potential customer, they're supposed to be able to look at the website, be like, "Oh, this looks like something I'm interested in," and then leave their information on the website, to which it then goes to the business owner, and they have a new lead from their website saying, "Hey, I'm interested in your services." If their website isn't doing that, if their website isn't collecting customers for them to potentially service, then they basically don't have a website. Their website is there, but it's not functional. It's not doing anything besides just sitting there and looking pretty. And that's what we're here to tackle. We're here to build them a functional website that actually brings them new customers and helps them make more money, brings them new business that's optimized for SEO and all that stuff, so that it actually generates them more business. So in a way, we're generating them more business. We're not just building websites, we're also bringing in more customers, getting them more qualified leads, making them look more credible in the eyes of their customers that they already have. So we're actually it's much deeper than just building a website. It's much deeper than just building a website. So when I say C, you must be competent. You must be able to, you know, um, convey some of those things. You must be able to put those things into words. Like when they say, "Oh yeah, I've got a couple of clients. I just don't think I need a website." You must be able. You should be able to tell them, I understand you're comfortable. You're getting enough clients as is, but I think here's why I think it would be a good idea to look into changing your mind, or potentially going down the road of looking into a website. Like you don't want to just hard reframe them. Like I get it, you don't have a website, but you need a website. You don't want to just hard reframe them like you need a website. This is why you need a website. You want to guide them. I understand, like you're saying that you might not necessarily need a website right now, but here are some reasons why you might. Like we're here to help them. We're here to show them the way. So that's what I mean with C, competent. We'll do some product training. We'll train you up on the product and ways that you can reframe their current way of thinking to more like our way of thinking, which is that they need the website. We'll do some product training and we'll train you up on that. Now E, established. That's when the E in certified stands for established, and you are established when you are a reputable source of information in the environment or in the ecosystem. So if you're established, if you have a Facebook page with a couple hundred followers and you got some posts about like web design and stuff like that, that's when you're established. When you're just a new account with no profile picture, no posts, no nothing on the account, 0 followers, 0 friends, 0 anything, that is not established. You must be at least a little bit established so that when you reach out, that these people actually respond to you. If they're not responding to you, chances are you have to, do some work on your page, which, we provide all that stuff as well. But you wanna have at least something on your page to make yourself a reputable source of information, to establish yourself as a reference point to learn from. If you're just messaging people like, hey, I can help you, but there's absolutely nothing on your page when they go to check you out, then they're thinking, okay, this guy's saying he can help me, but I don't know with what. Like I don't see anything on his page letting me know what he's doing, who he is, anything like that. People aren't gonna do business with you if they don't know who you are and they don't assign a name to a face to a name. You don't have to show your face, but you have to have something on your page to let them know like, hey, I'm a real person. R is reliable. Reliable is just basically like, are you trustworthy? And that leads into point T. Reliable is in another way trustworthy, but not only trustworthy but also available, which also leads into D. Reliable is basically if they have a question at any point, throughout the whole process, you're there to help them find a solution or find an answer. If at some point they're confused, like, okay, I'm thinking about getting a website, but how is this going to bring me more customers? If you're reliable, you'll be able to provide them an answer to that question, predicated based upon their specific predicated upon their specific situation. So you don't want to prescribe the same, like when you go to the doctor's office, right? And you tell them, hey, I have a tummy ache. And he prescribes you like, okay, I'm going to give you stomach medication. Now, do you think that doctor would prescribe you that same stomach medication if you went to the doctor and said, hey, I have a headache? No. He's going to prescribe you Advil or like something to help with pain relief in your head. He's not. You don't go to a doctor. A doctor doesn't give every customer the same solution. Like he doesn't give the same medicine to every customer. or every patient. A doctor doesn't give the same medicine to every patient that he comes across, because different patients have different needs. One patient might need, help with a tummy ache. Another patient might need help with a headache. Another patient might be having injury on their leg. So it depends based on the customer what we prescribe them. So if they're doing just fine with lead generation, but maybe the informational side of their site or the SEO on their site isn't up to par, or maybe they have a few landing forms that aren't functional, then we wouldn't build them a new lead generation form. We would just go in and try to fix the problems that are there. And if they want us to build a brand new lead generation form and do all that for the site, then of course we'll do that. But if we're not prescribing that same solution to every single person we come across, though, at least not in the DMs. Like on the surface, the sites might look similar to each site. Like there might be few differences between each site, which the higher you go into price range, the more differences there are. So on the surface, it might seem similar, but in the DMs, you don't want to say like, oh yeah, we've made 100. You can say like we've made hundreds of sites, but you don't want to say like, oh yeah, this site is exactly like the one we made. I mean, that is a good thing to say though. Like to say you already made something similar to this. You just don't want to make it seem like you're giving them a carbon copy of something. Like if they say, oh, I need this site, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is the exact same. I mean, you could say that with websites, I guess. Just don't make it seem like we're giving them a recycled site, because that's the type of vibe that I'm going for when they're asking for if their site is different. Like, how is their site different from the site we made a couple of months ago? So I don't know. I'll do some more thinking on that one. You can say that we've made similar sites, and I guess if they say, have you made a site like this, then obviously you want to say yes. So disregard that. If they ask you, have you made sites like this, say yes. Say yes, I have. It'll be a very rare occasion where you run into someone asking, like, is this site an exact replica of the site you made someone else? I think that'll be a rare occurrence if it's like someone asking you that. So if someone asks you, have you made sites like these, just say yes. But if they are asking, like, is this an exact replica of something, then under those circumstances you say no. But the chances of that happening are slim to none. But anyways, back to the original point. You want to be reliable. You want to make sure that they can count on you and the information you're giving them. Moving on to the next part, trustworthy, which is also a part of reliable. You want to be trustworthy. You don't want to lie to them. You don't want to tell them like, hey, this site is gonna, it's gonna take all your competitors' sites and it's gonna make their site obsolete or something like that. You don't want to tell them like, hey, this site is gonna fix all the marketing in your business. Like, it might fix the marketing for the business side of their site, but like, it's not gonna, hey, this site is gonna help make your employees work 10 times harder. It's not gonna do that unless we build them an app. And if we build them an app, then that's something else. That's something else we can talk about. But you want to be trustworthy. You don't want to tell them something that's just blatantly not true. Like, this site will cure male pattern baldness. Like, no, it won't. We can tell them that it might increase their revenue like 2x, 3x, and they'll get a lot more customers. But you don't want to just, like, you don't want to lie. Because that stuff is actually true. The site definitely could increase their revenue 2x, 3x, and get them way more customers. That's 100% true. And it'll definitely, bring them more business. But it's not gonna make a bad product good. It'll get them more customers, which is another reason why qualifying matters a lot. So it'll definitely get them more customers, but it's not gonna do anything outside of what it's meant to already do. So you want to be trustworthy. If they ask you a question, you want to answer honestly. Don't lie to them, because there are reps out here who will be like, Yes, the site will has Chat GPT. We can make sites with AI, but like it's not gonna be super revolutionary like when AI first came out. So it's just a website. It's a website. It is a website. So don't tell them that it's like some other shit. Don't lie to them. Don't mislead them. Don't misguide them. If they say how much revenue I'm gonna make, you could say like, it's gonna 2x, it's gonna 3x your revenue, it's gonna bring you more customers. That's pretty good in itself. Like, you don't need to tell them much more than that. Now, moving on. I invested into customer success. You want to be invested into their success. Now, why do you want to be invested into their success? Well, I'll tell you. The reason is simple. When they succeed, you succeed. So if you're trying to sell somebody a website, and the website that you sell them the website, and you sell them a website for something that they didn't even need in the first place, like you sell them a website that focuses on SEO when their SEO was already good, well, they're not going to see much of a change in results if we're focusing on SEO, but the whole time their SEO was already good. If they needed something else, then they're not going to see much of a change if all we do is just fix that. So when you're invested in customer success, you want to ask the right problems that let you come to the conclusion of where they need change. So that also ties into F. When you're invested in customer success, you look for ways to help them be successful. And to look for ways to help them be successful, you have to ask the right questions. And when they're successful and you give them a good product, they're more likely to do more business with us in the future. So it literally benefits you to want them to succeed through us, because the more they succeed through our business, the more they'll go to you for future updates and developments and projects, stuff like that. They'll refer us to their friends and tell their friends like, oh, this company did such great work, da 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 da. So you want to be invested in their success, because when they succeed, you also succeed by association. And that also leads into F, find hidden information. How do you make sure that they succeed? You ask questions. You ask good questions that let them know, okay, this guy's actually invested in what I've got going on. He's asking questions that help me uncover potential problems that I might be missing in my own framework. So you want to ask questions, and I'll show some examples of some good questions to ask. You want to ask questions that help uncover their true problems and what they might be missing out on. And you don't want to let them bullshit you, because they will try to bullshit you. They will try to be like, a lot of our entry-level reps struggle with this initially. I struggled with it a lot when I first started. Don't let them bullshit you. They'll try to tell you their reasons why they're not successful and make you believe it, like it's just supposed to be that way for everyone. They'll try to tell you like, oh yeah, I tried to make a website last year, but it didn't really work out. I don't think websites work. No, that is not true. Websites work. The website that you had made doesn't work, because you probably went to someone who didn't know what they were doing and they made you a shitty website. Just because you had work done by a shitty web developer doesn't mean that websites don't work. So they will try to say shit like that. They will try to bullshit you and be like, oh yeah, websites don't work. Technology, that's not really my thing. I had a website done last year. It didn't really work out. Okay, that's their experience. But that doesn't mean that websites in general just don't work, because other companies have gotten websites made for them, and it completely revolutionized the way they do business. So what they're saying, the error isn't in the website itself. It's in the quality of the website they had made, which is what we're here to fix. We're here to deliver quality websites that are, good, optimized, mobile friendly, etc. We're not here to deliver them the same bullshit that they already had but prior. So don't let them try to shift you over to their frame. Sales is about frame control. Whoever controls the frame wins. They're selling you just as much as you're selling them. They're going to sell you on all the reasons why it doesn't work, and you have to stay in control of the frame and sell them on all the reasons why it does work. They just haven't seen it yet. So With that being said, when they say something like that, don't just be like, oh yeah, you're right, because a lot of instincts will tell us to agree and to just to keep it smooth. But the second you agree to something like that, they're gonna immediately be like, okay, so I don't need a website. Don't agree to something like that. Reframe it. Like, I know why. I understand where you're coming from. I understand. I've heard that same not complaint. I've heard that same, what's the word? Not complaint, but it's a word like complaint. I've heard that same we'll just say complaint. I've heard that same complaint before from other business owners where, you know, they're saying that they've got a website done. They didn't like the quality of it. It didn't do much for them. I've heard that same getting a little bit of background noise. I've heard that. Yo, who's that? I can't think of the word right now, but don't let them shift you over to their way of thinking, especially if it's not contributing towards the sale or the set. Because the second you let them shift your mindset towards their way of thinking, when it's directly going against what you're trying to achieve or accomplish, is the second the sales falls through. Because you don't want them to, you don't want them to sell you. They're going to sell you on all the reasons why they shouldn't do a website, and you're going to sell them on the reasons why they should. Don't just blindly agree like, oh yeah, you're right, maybe you don't need a website, unless they genuinely don't. But 9 times out of 10, I'd say they likely will. And we'll go over examples like that. Again, we are going through the certified acronym, and after this we're going to go over some examples and show you live action what it looks like to do some of these methods. But first, let's go on to I. You want to be informal, informational, and value-based. Informational and value-based. This is a very, very strong one. If you have enough information to back up the decision they're making, then you will make the sale, or you will make the set. And we provide you that information. You will make the set. If you have enough information and value to back up exactly what you're saying, you will set them. Because you can't argue against something that makes sense. I know they say people buy emotionally and then reason logically, but at the same time, if you provide enough information in a way to them that they can't refute it, that they can't be like, yeah, that's not true, if they can't say that, and you're leading them along towards the set, they're just gonna set because it only makes sense. If you don't have a website, why wouldn't you? Why not? Why don't you have a website? You need a web in 2026. That is that's like a mistake in 2026, not having a website. So if you can provide them all the information and reasons why that is such a mistake for them on their part, how much customers they could be losing every day, then it'll only be a logical next step to schedule a meeting with someone who could potentially get them a good website that helps them improve their business. So you do want to sell off emotion. That's like the number one rule of sales, I guess. Sell people buy emotionally, but at the same time you still want to have that logical informational side to back it up. Because if not, then you're kind of just manipulating their emotions, which a lot of sales is that anyway. Manipulating their emotions, making them feel a certain type of way, making them feel how you feel. A lot of sales is that, but you still want it to be grounded in information and truth, so that when they look for the logical side of things, they find it, and they're not like, wait, this guy just freaking manipulated me into buying something I didn't want. No. We're only selling to people who actually need the product, actually want the product. When they look for the logical reasoning behind why they need the product, it's there. E of sales is extremely smooth. Now, you might be thinking smooth like a dancer or smooth, maybe like a milkshake or something like that, ice cream. But no, what I mean by extremely smooth is selling in a way that doesn't seem like selling. And I'll show a really good example for that in a couple of seconds. Extremely smooth is being like one of the best ways to sell. It's when you're selling someone and they don't even know that you're trying to sell them. That's how you be extremely smooth at selling. Now, that looks like reframing. If they ask you a question, you ask them a question about their question. There are plenty of tactics to use to make yourself as in sales. You want to be like a ninja. You want to be like the mist. It's someone said it a couple of days ago. It's kind of like seduction. You don't want to be in one place. Like if they box you in, you want to reframe the entire box and make a new one. Because when they box you in, they can easily tell you yes or no. You don't want to ever let anyone box you in and make you choose like out of two options in sales. So if you're extremely smooth, you're able to get out the box. You're able to make a new box that makes more sense than the box they made. And you're able to, play with it, like have fun. If they ask you a question, ask them a question about their question just so you can be sure the best way to answer it. Like there are a couple of different ways to do that. But we'll get into that in a minute. Directly available to answer their money messages. I'm going to change this to just messages because money messages sounds lame. Directly available to answer their messages. And this one's pretty obvious. You just want to be there so that if they ask you a question, that you're there to answer it and not lose out on money. Anyways, here at Booked, we will teach you how to be certified. Let's get into some examples. Now, this is the part we didn't go over yesterday. We're going to go through the methods and all that again in a second. But first, we're going to go over some of the new stuff, something we didn't get into yesterday. Now, here's the new stuff. Our $8 million winning framework. We haven't made $8 million yet. That's for manifestation purposes. We will soon. Just stick with us, and we'll make this statement a reality. Anyways, this is our $8 million winning framework. Don't go off script. Just copy what works. And this framework most definitely does work. I've seen it work. Right here, this is the exact same framework that got this customer super qualified, super ready to buy, immediately just interested, wanted to buy. Unfortunately, the closer actually fumbled the bag with this client. But the setter did a absolutely phenomenal stand-up bang out job with setting them. And this is that script. So they initially sent a message to the setter, and they said, I think I might need a website. Could you help me out, basically? And the setter said, yeah, I can recommend a reliable developer. Quick question: what's stopping you from launching right now? Is it the design, the tech, or just finding someone reliable? They said, I think it was the tech. I don't know much about websites. Where should I start? Okay, got it. And what do you need the site to actually do for you? I needed to bring in more customers. I need more customers. That's what they said for that one. They said, okay, do you have a current site or are you starting from scratch? Now, already a lot has happened in just these first 3 questions. I'm going to go piece by piece so that we can see exactly why we're asking each question. So their initial message shows interest in potentially getting a site. They're asking the setter for help in finding one and in finding someone who can do so. So they say, yeah, I can recommend a reliable developer. The reason they don't say, yes, I can make you a website is because then it turns it into a sale. Then it turns it into, I want you to buy this because I want to make money. The reason he said I can recommend a reliable developer is because at this point, it's not a sale yet. It's just someone trying to help someone else. If you're there recommending someone else, that means it's not you. That means you're not telling them good things so that they give you money. You're just trying to help them with the problem that they came to you about and see if there's any solution that you can find for them. You're helping, you're not selling. So then after that, he said, quick question. What's stopping you from launching right now? Is it the design, the tech, or just finding someone reliable? Fact finding. This right here is fact finding. We want to be question askers. We want to ask good questions that so they can tell us exactly what they need, so that by the time it's time for them to receive the product, we already know what to do. We already know what to make because they told us exactly what they needed. So he said, quick question, what's stopping you from launching right now? Is it design, the tech, or finding someone reliable? Pretty sure she said, like, it's finding someone reliable. I don't know the tech. I don't know how to build websites. Okay, got it. And what exactly do you need the site to actually do for you? Now, this is another fact-finding question. They're going to tell you what they need for the site. This one's more open-ended. It doesn't, this one is like close-ended. It boxes her into a couple of options. What's stopping you from launching right now also was the question. I just realized he didn't ask what's stopping you from making a site. He asked what's stopping you from launching, as in the business. But I guess he is talking in reference to the site. So, but this one's more close-ended. He said, is it the design, the tech, or just finding someone reliable? Now, the reason he made it closed-ended is to get her within his frame. Because once you ask that initial question and you leave it open-ended, they're ready to just say anything. But this kind of makes them more predictable. Once you ask them a closed-ended question, what's stopping you from launching right now? Is it the design, the tech, or just finding someone reliable? He gives her 3 options to work with. And now the whole conversation, and he does it quickly. Like, she sent the first message, and then the very next message, he frames her. So now that he's given those 3 options, the whole rest of the conversation is going to be similar to the initial first messages, because it's just going to build upon what they're already talking about when they first reached out to each other. So you kind of have an advantage when you send the first message, because you get to establish the frame. You get to establish what we're going to be talking about, how we're going to talk about it, and what they need when you ask the first question. So that's why he said, is it the design, is it the tech, or is it finding someone reliable? So when she answers that question, she's going to choose one of 3 things to say, or relate what she was already going to say towards one of these 3 things. So she said, it's the design. I don't know how to make websites. I can't find someone reliable. Well, that's exactly what he asked. Now she's answering the question he asked, and he's able to respond to that answer with another question that he's asking, which is she's also going to respond to in the way that he's looking for her to respond to it. So he's controlling the question and the answer when he asks questions the way he's asking. So he said, got it. And what do you need the site to actually do for you? This one is more open-ended. So this one's less controlling. This one is more, what do you need the site to do for you? So here she's able to say exactly, what she's looking for in a website, what she actually wants out of a site. And right here she said, I just wanted to bring me more customers. And he was like, okay, do you have a current site, or are you starting from scratch? Right here we get a gauge or a feel of where she's starting off at, whether she already has a site or whether or not we're going to be, her introduction to the website space. I believe she said she doesn't have a site. She started from scratch. She just wants to make a site for like her bakery. Said, okay, we could definitely handle that. Most sites like this take 5 to 7 days from start to finish. That gives us enough time to, collect information and actually create the site for them. Just to be upfront, our typical range for custom sites like this is 2.5K to 4K depending on features. Now, why did we frame it initially at 2.5K? That's pretty high, right? That's pretty high, isn't it? Our starting price is actually around 1K to 1.5K, even $600 for a landing page. So why did we start so high? The reason we started so high at 2.5K to 4K is so that we can negotiate down and not up. Because if we had started at $1,000 and then we asked a couple of more questions and then realized that they're going to need a $3,000 site, that's a much harder sale going from 1,000 to 3,000 than it is going from 2.5 thousand to 1,000. If we start at 2.5 thousand and then negotiate down to 1,000, they're much more likely to agree with that than if we were to start at 600 and negotiate up to 1,000. So you start high, negotiate low. You try to go for the initial price that you said. Like, you try to go for 2.5 thousand. This guy, he didn't really do that part. But usually this is a conversation that takes a long time. He was kind of rushing when he did this. This is a short conversation. So usually you want to start at this 2.5K mark, negotiate it for a couple of messages. Like, yeah, here's why we do 2.5K. This is why we need to do 2.5K. It's going to be very difficult for us not to do 2.5K. And then if they just keep pushing, like, I can't do 2.5K, then we can drop the price. We can negotiate it down to 2K and then down to 1.5K and then down to 1K until, we find the price that fits their budget. But at the same time, you want to start high and then negotiate low, not the opposite. So he said, our typical range for custom sites is 2.5K to 4K depending on the features, but I'd rather hear what you were thinking budget-wise first. What were you hoping to invest? Now, this is an optional play right here. You can do this one, but chances are you're going to negotiate yourself out of a higher ticket price. It's this one depends on who you're talking to. Depending on who you're talking to, you would want to say this, but if you're talking on someone that's, ready to go for the 2.5K, that you're pretty sure that they just agree with that price, then you wouldn't say this. If you're talking to someone that they have the money, they're qualified, they need the site, then you would not say that part. But we are talking to somebody who, he already knew that she was new to the business scene. It was her first restaurant. She probably hadn't made that much money yet. She's still making her first website. So she probably didn't have the 2.5 thousand, 4,000 just available to, fork over. So he made it easier to continue the conversation for her instead of just being like, oh, yeah, you're broke, we can't work with you. He made it easier for her to continue the conversation. Said, okay, we usually do 2.5K to 4K depending on the features, but he kind of gave her an out. He kind of gave her a out, like, but I'd rather hear what you were thinking budget wise first. What were you hoping to invest? So he made it easier for her to negotiate and strategize here by saying this sentence. He didn't just lock it into 2.5K or leave. He said, I'm willing to hear you out. I'm willing to hear out what's your budget. Let's see if we can make something work for you. She said 500 initially. She said 500 was her initial budget. And then he didn't even acknowledge the 500. He didn't even say, like, we can do 500, we can't do 500. He didn't even acknowledge the 500 because you don't want to confirm that. You don't want to affirm that. You don't want to tell them anything like, that's good, that's bad. This is where we get back to sales is about being a ninja. You don't want to, because when she said 500, she was probably expecting him to go either, oh, that's a good price, or, oh, that's a bad price. But that's fitting us into a box. We don't want to let her know what we're thinking until she's ready to make the decision. So he didn't affirm 500. He didn't say 500 was bad. He just moved and told her of what our typical price range is so that she can make a better decision on her own. Said our prices range from 1.5K, 2.5K, 4K, 7K, 10K. But notice how he still made it a bit easier. He started off with 2.5K to 4K the first time. But when she said 500, he dropped to 1.5K. He made it a bit easier for her to move forward with the decision, and that's going to bode well with her through reciprocity. Because he didn't just, flat out reject her and say, 500, we can't do that. He made it easier for her to negotiate by dropping the price to 1.5K starting off. So that's something that she'd consider instead of just being like, can't do it. So he says 1.5K, 2.5K, 4K, 7K, 10K, 15K, 20K, depending on the features you want. So back to my question, what is your budget? And notice that's a very good, very, very good, roping it back to what she said before. He didn't acknowledge the 500K, but he made her think about it in a way that she thinks that her answer is wrong. Because this is so in depth right here. This is super, super high level stuff right here. It's taking me a second just to process it. So he said, what were you hoping to invest? She said $500, right? She wanted to invest $500. She wanted him to say, okay, yeah, you could do 500. Yeah, we can't do 500. She wanted him to say something about the $500, right? But he didn't. He just told her what our typical prices are, all of them being over $500. And then said, depending on the features you want, these are our prices. So back to the original question, what's your budget? He didn't even acknowledge the $500. In fact, he acted as if she hadn't even said it. He acted as if she hadn't even said $500. So internally, in her mind, she's thinking, okay, 500 is not the right answer because I already said $500. And yes, he made the price easier, but that's still not $500. So back to my question, what's your budget? That's going to make her think, okay, that 500 isn't going to work. I have to come with another number. At this point, she said 1,000. She went up from 500 to 1,000 in the actual official. And that this is the script. This is what the script is based off. These screenshots. These are literally the screenshots where all this happened. And it's how success looks. So you can see right here, she said, this is a lot. My budget is 500. And this part got cut out where he said, you're good to move from 500. But she said, this is a lot. My budget is 500. He said, okay, so you're good to move at 500. And then where's the part? This is a lot. To what extent, he said, to what extent can you go budget-wise? To what extent can you go budget-wise? So it doesn't follow this script exactly. This is the same screenshots that the script was made from. But low-key, the script is better. The script is better than the screenshots. But that's where we got the script from that conversation. Because that conversation was super high level. But anyways, getting back to the point. He didn't even acknowledge the fact that she said 500. He just routed back around. Yeah, what's your budget? And okay. By the way, what's the nature of your business? I think he actually did that at this part. I got ahead of myself. Yeah, I got ahead of myself. Anyways, we're just gonna finish this out. By the way, what's the nature of your business? Who are your customers? She said, my customers are this, and that. Okay, great. We just built a restaurant site, clean, fast, mobile optimized. We can do something similar. Does that make sense? You get it. Got it. Good. just to make sure we're aligned, etc., etc. If we build you a site that gives you brand visibility, therefore increasing sales by 10x. And here it says 500. This part was supposed to already be handled. You're good to move forward from 500. Then he says, to what extent can you go budget-wise? So I got a bit ahead of myself. But everything I said applies to this part. It just happened right here. To what extent can you go budget-wise? She responded 1,000. Perfect. Here's Duke, our lead developer, etc., etc., etc. Boom, bam, bam. Yeah. This is the script. If you follow this script, you'll be successful. If you're not booking with this script, then you're doing something wrong. This script works, and we've seen it work because it worked on customers that we've already set. So again, with this one, the closer fumbled. He gave her like bad information or something that she didn't like it. So with that being said, you have a script here. We also have more scripts throughout the document. Like I know on this page we have, or on this page we have a script at the very bottom on what is DM setting. We have an example script right here. So we've got a couple of scripts sprinkled in throughout this whole document. You can use any one of them. Pretty much all of them are good. They're usable. Let's go and actually show you what it looks like to find these clients. Now, I dropped a
Josh,
video.
I'm sorry.
Yo.
I'm sorry. Just a quick question.
Yep.
I'm just writing things down about the web development. Do you guys include copywriting in the services?
Which one?
Copywriting.
Contracting?
Copywriting.
Oh, copywriting.
Like
Copywriting.
writing about the business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, we include copywriting.
Alright. I'm just writing down the stuff I'm gonna include. So.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. We do copywriting, SEO optimization, Google reviews. We have a couple of app developers. Yeah, we can do everything. We can do all that stuff. Copywriting, email marketing, etc.
Alright. Perfect. Thanks.
Yep. All right, cool. So I'm gonna show everyone a couple of these methods to find clients, because we've talked about them, but I haven't showed you exactly how to do them yet. So I'm going to go over a couple of these methods, show you what it looks like in practice, and yeah, so that you guys are more like you know how to do it. I can't think of the word right now. More confident in your ability to go out and find these clients. So we're gonna go over to this method I showed yesterday in the sales resource channel of Discord, but I'm gonna show it again just for anyone who didn't notice or didn't catch it. You go to the search bar, go to Facebook, boom, search bar, add library, right? You go to Facebook ad library, which is a comprehensive searchable collection of all ads running across Facebook. Open it. Okay, cool. Now we're in the Facebook ad library, add category, all ads, and now type web development or website. We'll do website because we did web development yesterday. Website building. Go website building. Right. So now we're gonna see all of the advertisements for website building. Some of these are off brand, or not off brand. Website, let's go website. Oh look, Breakdance website builder, Starlight website, the free website guys, ecom websites, all these people who build websites, right? No Hassle website. Let's go to No Hassle website and see what they've got going on. So let's navigate over to No Hassle website. New, built a beautiful influencer style link in bio page in under 60 minutes with 0 monthly fees. Wow, that's actually impressive. Let's learn more about that. So you go and find not that. Don't click learn more. Click on their actual profile page. So you go to Facebook ad library, and then you type something like, website or web development, type either website, web dev, site, something like that, right? And from there, you'll see all the advertisements regarding website building, websites, etc., etc. Now, what do you think is going to happen from there? From there, you go to the person that is posting those advertisements. You go to their page, and you check out what they've got going on. So No Hassle Website over here is building websites and already has a following of people who's interested in them building websites. So let's see who's liking No Hassle Websites. Kath Robinson. Let's see what Kath Robinson does. Oh, we don't know. Creative Soul Elements, AU, and Millie Jam Beanstalk. How I would message Kath. This is what I would say. We're both following No Hassle Websites, so that's already something that we have in common. Hey, I saw we're both following no, I can't link them for some reason in the chat, but if I could, I would. We're both following business owner. Do you own your own business as well? So a quick outreach message looks like what it would look like. Look, Kath Robinson, I found her from No Hassle Website. I went to her likes. Like, I see No Hassle Website posted something. Kath Robinson was one of the people who liked her post. I just messaged. So right here, these are 5 potentially qualified leads right here. Like, if all 5 of these people are business owners, these are 5 qualified leads. And that's just from her first post. Her second post has a comment, and she's a author. Cool. She's an author. She probably might need a website. No Hassle Websites. Look, 3 more likes. Amanda liked. Natalie liked. Claudia liked. Oh, 4 comments. All these people are leads. This is a page about building websites. This is a Facebook page about building websites. So everyone that interacts with this Facebook page is automatically a lead. We reach out to all of them and ask them questions and see if we can help them. So Kath Robinson liked her post, said, so I'll say, hey, I see we're both following No Hassle Website. Was curious as to what you thought about their content. I follow them because I'm a business owner. Do you also own your own business? Do you also own your own business? That doesn't look right. I'm gonna say, do you also own a business? And boom, sent. That's one person, handled. Kath Robinson. Hey, I saw we're both following No Hassle Website. Was just curious as to what you thought about their content. I follow them because I'm a business owner. Do you also own a business? Let's see what they say. If they own a business, cool. Let's see if they need a website. I mean, they're following someone named No Hassle Website. So, and here's the person that I reached out to a couple of earlier with this same method. Using this exact same method, I reached out to only one person, and that one person I reached out to responded. Eric Ingram. I said, just curious, I was looking over your Facebook page and I didn't see a site for Revival Marine Care products. Where do you send new customers? He said he doesn't send them anywhere because he does stuff locally in the area, basically off word of mouth. I said, okay, so you've got your own shop going on, your own operation where people come to you locally then? Said that is correct. I said, have you ever considered scaling, or is it kind of just it's good enough type of thing? Now this is kind of like an ego thing, where I said, have you ever considered using your shop to make more money or making your shop better? Because he doesn't have a website. He's pretty much saying it's local, word of mouth. He's comfortable with where it's at. He doesn't really care about getting a website to scale it and make it more. So I said, okay. So have you ever considered scaling, or is it kind of just good enough as it is? He said, it's good enough as it is. I was like, all right, I'm not going to chase this guy down. I hear you, bro. If you ever need a website like this one, let us know. We can get it done for you at around $1.5 thousand. And I sent him over this website, which is a pretty good website that one of our web developers made. And sent him over this website, to which, he probably took a look at it. Welcome to Fear Insight. This is an example website that you can send over to potentially interested clients, and they could check it out and be like, oh, this is a pretty good site. I might want something like this for my business. I sent him that website. I said it was a lead generation machine. This site alone brought our client 5 times the amount of revenue they were making before, and it's their main channel of taking orders. Put their whole business on autopilot. I've got your contact. If you need to reach me, hit me up on WhatsApp, 470-437. Salute. I didn't want to chase this guy because he said he's comfortable where he's at. And I said, have you ever thought about scaling and, getting some more money coming into the business? And he said it's good for now. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to chase you. He said, I have a website already developed managed by Detailer's Roadmap with an integrated CRM, but I do appreciate the offer. Okay, cool. This guy already has a website. If I was really on it, I'd probably ask him some questions about the website. I'd ask him, can you send over the site? Take a look at it. That's kind of a thing, and I'd love to voice. It's kind of our thing, and I'd love to try and help you optimize it further, if that's for us to take a look at. It's kind of our thing. I'd love to, if that's all right with you. Of course, free of charge. Consider it a gift for me. Awesome. Or something like this. That last part is not necessary at all. This is not necessary. This consider it all that's not necessary. But like, if we want to chase this guy down, we can. We can say, okay, he has a website. Could you send over the site for us to take a look at? That's our thing. I'd love to try and help you optimize it, if that's okay with you. Of course, it's free. Or I could say, instead of that, I don't want to say free because we're going to ask him for money later if he likes it. So I don't want to say free. I want to say, I'm bored right now. Or there's not a lot of work coming in, and looking to practice. Or something like that. Like something like, we're just going to take a look at the site for you just because why not? So that would be a good way to, keep this conversation going, to keep this ball rolling, potentially book this guy. I'd love to try and help you optimize if that's all right with you. It's not a lot of work coming in right now. It's not a lot of work coming in right now. And I'm looking to sharpen my skills, or just something like that. Just, can you send us the site so we can take a look at it? I'd love to try. Actually, to be honest, I think I probably should have just cut this whole part. I probably just should have just kept it at, I'd love to try and help optimize it if that's all right with you. So I messed up right there. I should have just left it right here and not included that next part, because now it's like too much. But it's cool. Like that guy, he said he's not interested. It's cool. You do like 40 of those a day. Every day. You will bring clients. So let's see. I don't know. He might respond well. He might respond well to it. Anyways, back to Kath. I've also just reached out to Kath Robinson, right, from No Hassle website. And let's see who else is here. We got Natalia. We've got Suzanne. We've got Emma. Let's message Natalia. And guys, this is all just one method. This is only the first method that we're going over, albeit it's a really good method. This is a really good method. Don't get it twisted. But as you can see, this stuff makes, like, it moves. Like, if you do it, you can do it. Like, boom. He said, I'm not interested in optimizing as I pay for support. Yeah, I scared him away. I scared him away by saying this part. I scared him away with this part because now he thinks I'm going to try to sell him. That's where we go back to you want to sell without making it seem like you're selling. If I would have just said this, it would have not seemed like I'm selling. But then I added this part, and now he's like, why is he trying so hard to do something for free? Feel free to look around though. Either way, he sent the website. We could take a look at the website. And this is still like a conversation that's able to be had. He didn't block us. He didn't tell us to get lost. He didn't tell us to scram. We could take a look at the website. You know, if there's some stuff on the website that we can identify that could use some fixing, we could let that be known to him, put that in the message, and, you know, try and see if we can sell him a website. So you just want to keep the conversation alive. I'm just going to tell this guy, okay, sounds like you got a handled. Be in touch. Because right now we're doing a training. I don't have time to be trying to nurture a lead mid-training. But that's pretty much what nurturing looks like. You know, you have the conversation with them. You ask them a couple of questions. Ask them how they got into business, what they're doing, stuff like that. I'm not going to do it right now because we're doing a training. But, yeah. And then we have Natalia. Like, cool. Thumbs up. So now this guy, I can reach out to him a couple of hours later or whenever and see how he's doing. That's follow-up. Now we got Natalia. She goes to college, image consulting. Can't really see anything on her profile about maybe her job or anything. So you got to be able to do research. You got to be a bit of a detective as well. I don't see anything about business. I'm going to just say, hey, Natalia, are you a business owner? I'm going to just say, are you a business owner? That's it. I just want to know if she has a business, and if so, I'd like to learn more. But boom, everyone from No Hassle website, this is only one page from the Facebook ad library method. There are plenty. If I just type web dev, and this one page has 5 likes, 1 comment, 3 likes, 7, 3, 1, 5, 11, 3, 1, 1, 2. So this page alone has like more than 50 potential leads that you could reach out to just from this one page. And on the Facebook ad library, there are, let's see how many pages. This guy does Webflow development. This guy, same thing. I'm pretty sure I checked this one out earlier. Yeah, you don't want to be like this guy. You do not want to be like this guy. You can see his banner is made of AI. His name is Experience. He looked like he made this yesterday. You do not want to be like this guy, because no one will do business. You see how he has no likes, no comments. Oh, he actually has a lot of comments. What the hell? Important. Oh, they're bots. Yep. You don't want to be like this guy. He has 3 posts. One of them is updating his profile picture. Don't be like this guy. Don't have your Facebook looking like this guy. He has 1 follower. He's following 0 people. It just says software company. His thing is made of AI. Experience. I don't even know what his name. This is a perfect example of a bad profile. You do not want your profile to look like this, because no one will work with you. Like, I'm not saying that he can't build his profile and make it something, but as it looks right now, it looks terrible. Don't make sure you're posting. Make sure you post a whole bunch of stuff, like pictures and stuff like that, text posts, etc. Follow a couple of people, get a couple of people to follow you back. Don't have your shit just like be AI. It says front end development twice. It says weekend development, you front end development. Like, no, we're not doing business with this guy. I mean, we could message him and mess with him, but no. Anyways, let's see who else we've got. Let's upkeep. Your site's full potential awaits. This guy, look, this guy makes WordPress sites. WP Engine. He has 55,000 followers. WP Engine. I think this might be the like official WordPress thing, but he's got 4 likes, 5, 3, 5, 8, 8, 3. They make websites. Everyone who's liking content about people who make websites, they're a qualified lead. Reach out to them, message them, shoot them a message, tell them, hey, do you own a business? This guy is a public figure. He's a content creator. Talks about God, talks about pushing forward. He could use a website to promote himself. So reach out to these people. Reach out. That's just the first method. I think we're only going to share the sauce on the first method today. If we were to go any longer, this would start to get confusing. So that's going to be all for today's training. Again, you can always find these trainings on YouTube. I'll share my YouTube channel in the chat. You can watch these trainings back and make sure that you're soaking up all the sauce, all the game, all the information, so that you can be as successful as possible in doing this thing. With that being said, I hope we all, learned a lot. A lot of this was repetition from yesterday. A lot of what we learned today was pretty much the same thing that we went over yesterday, with some new nuances and different ways of thinking, different ways of looking at things, which are often the most beneficial thing to learn when it comes to doing something like this. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed today's training. I'm gonna stop this